Denver's school superintendent search is boiling over, and charter schools are creating the heat. Gender-neutral bathrooms, they've been law in Denver for months. I haven't seen many. Have you? He's a lawman who says journalists profit off of fear. So I did not expect him to say this.
I'm not a believer that there's a lot of fake news or the media is the enemy of the people.
And we meet a doctor who says she couldn't take it anymore. Her diagnosis of the state of medicine is pretty grim. That's next. The search for a new leader for Colorado's largest school district has devolved into shouting matches and insults in Denver. Our Nusha Roy found at the heart of this is an issue at play in many districts: charter schools.
I am a neighbor to the shuttered Gilpin School, for which I protested.
I'm here to ask for neighborhood schools.
If there's one thing clear about charter schools,
all of those schools are neighborhood schools.
A lot of people disagree about them. We're to the point where people are yelling at school meetings. This is an issue impacting nearly a quarter of the more than 92,000 kids going to school in Denver.
It pulls resources away from the traditional schools that are still in the neighborhood. Right?
This bothers Sol Lashimu because of geography.
Race and class are intimately tied to what's taking place.
If you look at this map in northeast Denver, you see 8 schools. A fact. But to Lashimu, there are too many charter schools.
Well, behind charter schools, the motivating factor is to make money.
He worries there's not enough oversight, too much autonomy for discipline, and not enough school choice for parents.
I think this is just nothing more than the tired old politics of division.
Outgoing Superintendent Tom Boasberg looks at the same map and sees 5 innovation high schools and 3 charter schools.
They're more accessible now than before. They're much better than before. They're much higher quality.
While the schools do have some autonomy for certain decisions like school day length, when it comes to discipline, Boasberg says it's universal.
All of our charter schools follow our district-run discipline policy.
One thing that is very clear, people will keep pushing each other's buttons over this issue since both sides are so adamant that they are absolutely right. And this is a debate that will continue into when DPS is going to be picking their new superintendent. They actually extended that timeline and are expecting to have somebody picked by December 10th.
I see this playing out almost like a Supreme Court confirmation hearing where as soon as we have a name, these parents and community activists are going to study that person's record for everything they've ever done on charter schools.
They're looking for an educator. They're looking on their stance for charter schools. They want transparency because they've got so many issues that they're worried about.
And they know full well that by the time a finalist is named, it's probably too late to stop anything.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Anusha, thank you. Larimer County Sheriff's Office is warning that citizens may hear simulated explosions and see smoke tomorrow. They are holding mass casualty training on September 11th. Perhaps you remember when the Coast Guard picked September 11th for training in Washington, D.C. That was back in 2009, and it set off a panic because people thought that there were boats firing live rounds off the Potomac. The simulated explosions and gunfire and smoke in Larimer County tomorrow will be in the area of the ranch and the county fairgrounds in Loveland. Sheriff's Office told me that the timing of this training was likely just dictated by staffing. Denver's decision to require gender-neutral bathrooms means that businesses and public facilities have to put up signs. It also means that they need to know how to spell the word neutral. Denver Parks and Rec says they will have a redo on the sign at City Park Pavilion. They said they chose to leave up the misspelled sign because they figured, you know what, hey, it's better than nothing. And nothing is indeed what you will find in some places, even months after Denver was supposed to have all of its one-person bathrooms labeled as gender neutral, so open to anybody. Businesses had until April 30th to get up to code. The rule applies to bathrooms with 1 toilet and a sink or a toilet, urinal, and a sink. At this point, even months in, the city is still in education mode rather than enforcement mode. They're working with trade groups like the Denver Restaurant Association to tell business owners what they need to be doing.
Our inspectors are looking at new buildings to make sure the signage in those buildings is appropriate, and also when businesses change hands and there's a remodel, they're looking at the signage for the restrooms in those as well.
Rather than issuing tickets right now, the city has its inspectors handing out educational cards. The sun rose in the west today, and that is great news for Colorado. The Colorado Sun is the online journalism startup involving former Denver Post employees. Its website went live this morning, and it is jam-packed with journalism that covers this state corner to corner. From homelessness in Durango to drought in La Junta, from an article on IPAs to coverage of campaign ads. The Colorado Sun is our competition, but I encourage you to join me in supporting them. The Sun's journalists realize full well that we need less pack journalism. You know, picture 10 reporters all standing in a clump taking notes as a spokesman speaks. That what we really need is more original reporting on issues that matter, even if that means that we don't have an article on every car accident in town or a 17th hot take on the Broncos' backup quarterback. Now, some will say that the Sun will not be able to sustain itself on the donations of readers, that their experiment in journalism is doomed. I hope they find that chatter to be useful fuel, just as we did in the next office. And while I salute the Sun on its first day and ask you to check out their work, I know from experience that their biggest challenge is ahead, when they have to do it all over again when the sun comes up tomorrow. Longmont Public Safety Chief Mike Butler says the media profit off of fear and blame. I have said here that I think the chief was trying to distract from his department's recent troubles. What Chief Butler and I had not had was a face-to-face conversation until he agreed to stop by for a discussion.
We know that the media is there to be a monitor for government, especially police, to ensure that we're transparent, to ensure that the stewardship of our dollars and our resources are where they need to be. But a lot of what I wrote about there, Kyle, comes from people who I have spoken with in the community in terms of where they get their news, why they feel the fear they feel. And so it's not just the media, but at some level social networks as well.
Here's the thing. I don't really disagree with your assessment in that you are describing the worst of media, and you're describing the things that a lot of journalists hate about media. You're describing stuff that we rant against here on this program, but I take issue with the fact that you use that to paint the media with a broad brush. I could talk to you about the worst in law enforcement, but we both know that that's not representative of law enforcement. You see what I'm saying?
So fair enough, and I get that. But again, the comments that I hear from the community in terms of their sense of fear and why they don't feel safe often comes from what they hear about or read about within the media.
Specifically, what does that mean in Longmont? What do people tell you that you say that is detached from reality?
So what I hear and what I put in my op-ed is that crime is spiraling in our community, that our gang issue is significant, that women are dying of domestic violence, that issues with our undocumented immigrants in our community that are causing a lot of the crime. I think a lot of that comes mostly from the national media and maybe some from the statewide Denver media as well. And so that's a force we have to encounter. We don't want people to feel fear when there's no need to feel fear.
Agreed. That is just a bit of a much longer conversation with Longmont Public Safety Chief Mike Butler. You can look for more of it here on Next Soon, or you can watch the entire discussion right now on the Next YouTube channel. Our next question comes from Next viewers with a need for speed and no use for the things that get in the way. Kristen and Jason emailed, what's the difference between a speed bump and a speed hump? Jason got to wondering after seeing this sign in North Glen. Is a speed hump just like a politically correct way to refer to a speed bump nowadays? And it does raise a real question. What you going to do with all that junk inside your trunk when you hit those not so lovely traffic humps? So at the risk of this ending up on YouTube, there is a difference between humps and bumps and dips. Humps are the gentler, more gradual raise in the pavement, not the jarring parking lot style bump. Dips are also used for speed control in some places, and different cities have different rules on this. We looked around. Denver says it does not use bumps or humps because they can slow down ambulances and fire trucks. City of Centennial cites the exact same reason, but it allows the humps, no bumps, no dips. When we return, stunning photos from atop Colorado's 100 highest peaks, and a doctor who was so determined to spend quality time with her patients that she quit. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a photography project by a guy named Matt Payne out of Durango. Look at that. He set out to capture photographs from the tops of Colorado's 100 highest peaks. And not just any old time of day. He did this at sunrise, sunset, and at night. He says the best way to capture Colorado's beauty is from quote-unquote extreme vantage points. Who sees the flag? He's building 2 books out of these photos. Courtney Dauwalter is a next favorite. Remember, she's the Coloradan who won the 2018 Western States Endurance Run back in June, a 100-mile run that she finished in 17 hours, 27 minutes. She told us she was thinking about running 200 miles, and we were like, all right, well, she did it. She's now the 2018 Tahoe 200 female champion, 2nd place overall. How long does it take somebody to run 205.5 miles? Well, it took her 49 hours, 54 minutes, and 36 seconds.
And I thought 5 miles was a good day. Hey, I'm tracking isolated thunderstorms tonight around Pueblo, out around Kit Carson and Burlington. All the heavy weather this afternoon impacting travel outside of Houston, Atlanta, and Memphis. We do have a very strong hurricane that is brewing out in the Atlantic. But for western sections of the country, Colorado included, temperatures are running above average, 93 today. High pressure brings another warm, dry day here with a bit more cloud cover. Florence, Category 4 storm, is now taking aim at the eastern seaboard and will be very dangerous as it makes landfall sometime Thursday into Friday. Because it will move inland, it's not going to fall apart. It'll stall out, producing the potential for catastrophic flooding across 9 states over about 3 days. Around here, our moisture is very limited. Isolated showers in southern Colorado, completely dry for Denver, Fort Collins, and Sterling. A warm, dry day coming up tomorrow. And tonight, not bad in the city. As a matter of fact, our low tonight at 61 under partly cloudy skies. Highs above average again by a good 10 degrees for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A little cooler Monday of next week. And if you're headed to the Rockies game tonight, how about 83 degrees for first pitch and what we hope will be a winning forecast.
I'm calling sick for 9-10. All right, thank you, Kathy. All right, let's play What Do You Say? We're going to head to a city in Boulder County that starts with an L. You probably already know this because this place name is old hat for natives, but you will hear it trip up many a transplant. The city with the same name is one in Kentucky. Do not make the mistake that Barry and Anthony and Lori all heard. So we called up the mayor of the city and asked him, let's sort it out once and for all. What do you say?
Most people in Louisville pronounce it Louisville because I always say we are named after a guy named Lewis. Louis Nawatney was the founder of the community. People ask me frequently how to pronounce it, or people just pronounce it wrong because they're used to, Louisville, Kentucky being pronounced that way. It's not a point of confusion for residents, but lots of people that, if somebody calls me about some issue that's in there from somewhere else, they'll frequently mispronounce it.
There you have it, Louisville, named after a man named Louis who came from Eastern Europe to look for sources of coal for the railroad. If you have the name of a city or a mountain range or a river or a street or anything that you've heard pronounced a couple of different ways, email your suggestion. Often there's a great backstory that we find along the way. Next@9news.com is our email. You can always get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. A doctor in the Denver area says she is done. She says medicine as it is practiced today is not what she signed up for and wants to do. That's next. Going to the doctor's office is such a joy, isn't it? Even for a well visit. You wait a half an hour in the room where everybody's coughing and sniffling. Then you get in to see the doctor. They rush in and out in 10 minutes and you're on your way. Good luck till next year. It's frustrating for patients and it's frustrating for doctors too. Like the doc who was so fed up, she decided to up and leave the field of traditional medicine.
I am a physician, I'm a pediatrician, and I was also trained as a neonatologist. It is just an honor to take care of people. NICU is its own beast. I mean, if you can imagine a family just had a baby and for some reason they have to be in an ICU setting, that is just devastating. To entrust their well-being to you and you know the gravity of that. At the end of the day, a physician wants to be a physician. they want to do patient care. The business of medicine took over the care of medicine. There was a lot more administration people coming in, a lot more duties that were placed upon physicians. Every day I felt less and less time spent with patient care and more time looking at how are we going to get the money in. It got to a point that it just was too much. No physician goes into saying this, I'm going to get out of it, right? For me personally, it was a 3-year decision. I'm carving out my own path in getting my fulfillment out of medicine. I think it's going to start becoming more of a trend. I think the idea is to take medicine back into what we wanted, and the only people that are able to do that are the physicians. We want to be present for you, but we don't want it to be in 10 minutes. I mean, that's just not enough time for patient care. This is a real issue, and we really need to look at solutions that involve physician voices to help with this situation. We want to take care of you. We value patient care, and at the end of the day, this is all what it's about, is patient care. So let's bring that back to the forefront.
Dr. Patel's story, as shared with our photojournalist Byron Reed. Dr. Patel tells us she recently started up a newborn specialty clinic that does in-home comprehensive care for new moms and babies. Medicine as she would like it to be. I'm trying to do a new show around here, and all you people want to do is play You've Crossed the Line. All right, we'll play. This is one of my favorites, though. This is like a cross-the-line convention. Megan Reams saw this masterclass in the King Supers in Brighton. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles, all trucks of some sort or another, it would appear. Nobody's in the lines. And like they're all out every which way. I don't know. People have got to be real proud of themselves at the Kings in Brighton. If you see anything resembling that, email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. State troopers are telling people that's not how you Colorado, and doing it in very sassy fashion. And your always sassy feedback next. Time for another reminder to folks, that's not how you Colorado. Colorado State Patrol taking no prisoners after finding this ramshackle mountain living situation along with some illegal fire pits in the forest. The Gilpin County Sheriff's Office told us they've responded to 10 or 12 of these this summer, situations where it looks like somebody's been living in the wild for a while. State troopers tweeting, there's no excuse for endangering everyone because you selfishly want to pretend to be a mountain man. Ooh. Hey, it's a related sign that largely sends the same message. Signs plural. Gregory Johnson spotted them. 5 total that make one message. He says he thinks of our segment every time he rides past these signs up Golden Gate Canyon. So he stopped and took a photo of each sign. They read in order, careless fires in a flash can turn our mountains into ash. It's like those old Burma Shave billboards, you know, where you drive down and they spell out the message. Nobody else remembers that? I don't remember that, actually. I've just seen pictures. Keep the signs coming. Finish with your feedback, and Scooter, probably not his real name, writes in, says, can we put humps, bumps, or dips on the sidewalk for scooter abatement? I don't think that we can do that. Susan Moore writes in, says, Kyle Clark is the best thing that ever happened to cocktail hour. Susan, if you're drinking during the show, please continue, and please continue to enjoy the show. And Kevin Fletcher says, regarding the accuracy of news, there's a book called Factfulness that provides an analysis. In a nutshell, says things are much better than presented on the news, but that's a story no one will watch. I disagree, sir. I think people are watching. We'll see you next time.